Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. In a world that constantly pushes instant gratification, endless texting, and constant availability, there lies a truth that few men understand: the power of less. In relationships, in dating, and in the way women perceive you, less contact can often create more desire. Not because you're playing games, but because you're mastering one of life's most powerful psychological principles: value increases with scarcity. Many men today believe that being available all the time, constantly checking in, and pouring attention will deepen a woman's feelings, but in reality, it often has the opposite effect. It weakens mystery, it destroys anticipation, and it tells her, without words, that your time isn't valuable. But when you become intentional with your energy, when your presence is felt but not always given freely, when you become a man who moves with purpose and silence rather than neediness and noise, that's when attraction deepens. That's when she starts thinking about you when you're not around. That's when she misses you because you gave her the space to. In this video, we'll break down exactly why less contact creates more attraction, based on psychology, emotional behavior, ancient wisdom, and real-world examples. We'll explore the male mindset that elevates your value without saying a word. So before we dive in, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Stoic Golden Tribe. Join the Brotherhood of men who lead with emotional discipline, strength of presence, and timeless wisdom. And don't forget to drop a comment below. Your thoughts help us grow this movement. Now let's get into Chapter 1. The Psychology of Absence: Why Space Sparks Desire. Let's begin with a timeless truth. We only miss the sun when it starts to rain. We only value silence after the noise fades. Attraction isn't fueled by constant presence, it's amplified by absence. In psychology, this is called the scarcity principle. The less accessible something is, the more valuable it appears. And this doesn't just apply to money, luxury, or status. It applies to you as a man. When you're always texting her, replying within seconds, filling every silence with good morning and good night messages, you become predictable, you become routine. And what's routine is rarely attractive. Women are emotional creatures. They thrive on feeling. And one of the deepest emotions that fuels attraction is curiosity. When a man pulls back, not in manipulation but in intention, he triggers her mind to wonder, where is he? What is he doing? Why hasn't he texted me? Is he thinking of me? That silence becomes a stage where her imagination performs. And when the imagination is engaged, feelings deepen. Take this simple example. A man named Jordan was dating a woman he really liked. He thought that staying in constant contact would show his care. Every morning, text; every break call; every night, good night message. At first, she liked it, but within 2 weeks, her replies became colder. Her interest faded. Jordan felt confused and desperate. But what he didn't understand was this: he gave her no space to desire him. She didn't leave because he was bad. She left because he was always there. Contrast that with a man like Marcus, quiet, focused, disciplined. He liked a woman too, but he didn't rush. He gave her space. He showed interest, but didn't flood her world with attention. He stayed mysterious. He stayed composed. And guess what? She chased him. She missed him after conversations. She thought about him in silence. Marcus used absence as a weapon, not to manipulate, but to allow her emotional fire to ignite. Because when a woman fills in the blanks, she becomes emotionally invested. This principle is ancient. Even Lao Tzu, the father of Taoist philosophy, once said, "Silence is a source of great strength." When a man becomes comfortable with silence, when he no longer fears losing someone by doing less, he becomes powerful. Now you might ask, But what if she loses interest when I don't talk to her every day? The truth is, if she loses interest because you aren't flooding her with attention, then her interest wasn't real to begin with. It was built on constant stimulation, not genuine connection. Real attraction needs room to breathe, so don't be afraid to step back. Let your silence speak. Because a man who isn't afraid to withdraw is a man who doesn't fear his own worth. Drop a comment below. Have you ever noticed someone becoming more interested in you after you pulled back? Let's talk about it. Chapter 2. Masculine energy moves in silence, not noise. Let's go deeper. One of the biggest mistakes modern men make is believing that constant communication equals connection. But real connection doesn't come from how often you reach out. It comes from how grounded you are when you don't. Masculine energy is rooted in stillness, clarity, and purpose. It's not loud, it doesn't chase, it moves with calm precision. In contrast, feminine energy is flow, emotion, movement. It seeks attention, it desires to feel. Now when a man overcommunicates, always reaching, always talking, always available, he unconsciously steps into feminine energy. He becomes the chaser, the feeler, the one who seeks validation. This reversal disrupts polarity, and polarity is what creates attraction. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine two men, Anthony and Elijah. Anthony is deeply interested in a woman. He sends her long texts, compliments, and constant updates about his day. He tries to stay on her mind by being present 24/7. At first, she responds, but slowly she starts pulling away. She takes longer to reply. Her excitement fades. Why? Because Anthony, although well-meaning, gave too much. His energy said, "I need you to respond so I feel okay." Now Elijah, on the other hand, also likes a woman, but his life is full. He's building a business, working out, developing himself. He sends a thoughtful message here and there, but he's not attached to her reply. His energy says, "I like you, but I don't need you." She feels this. And what does she do? She leans in. She checks her phone more often. She starts wondering why he hasn't texted. You see, masculine men don't talk to fill silence. They speak with purpose. And when they're silent, they're not avoiding, they're building. This silence makes a woman lean in to earn his presence, rather than take it for granted. Even ancient warriors practiced this principle. In the teachings of the samurai, there was a saying, "Speak only when it improves the silence." These were men trained to move with discipline and stillness. Their strength wasn't in how loudly they spoke, but in the power of their restraint. They understood that presence is more commanding when it's rare, when it's earned, and when it isn't handed out to everyone. Modern men must reclaim this wisdom. It's not about ghosting or playing hard to get. It's about knowing when to give space and when to speak with impact. It's about being so full in your mission that your life doesn't revolve around who texts you back. It's about being so grounded in your masculine energy that she feels your power even in your absence. So when you reduce contact, don't do it to punish her. Do it to protect your energy, to increase your value, to move like a man who is anchored, not anxious. Because when a woman feels that she doesn't own your time, she becomes more careful with how she treats it. Drop your thoughts below. Do you believe a man's silence can make him more attractive, or do you think it risks pushing her away? Let's hear your perspective. Chapter 3. The Law of Emotional Distance. How attraction is triggered in her mind. Let's get into the emotional side of things. What she actually feels when you reduce contact. Here's what most men don't realize. Women don't always fall in love through logic. They fall through emotion, tension, and timing. And when you step back, when you reduce contact without losing your composure, you create something incredibly powerful in her mind: emotional distance. This emotional distance is not rejection. It's the space where yearning lives. It's the gap between the last time she heard from you and the next time you appear that makes her feel the absence of your energy. Women are intuitive. They feel shifts. When a man who once reached out daily suddenly pauses, she notices. And if she truly has feelings, she won't be indifferent. She'll become emotionally activated. She'll wonder, did something change? Why hasn't he messaged me? Did I do something wrong? Is he moving on? And here's the twist. In that uncertainty, she starts thinking about you more. That thinking leads to feeling, and that feeling leads to longing. Let's break it down with a real-life example. David was in a casual relationship with a woman who liked him, but wasn't showing much commitment. He was always texting first, always initiating, always keeping the energy alive. But one day, David stopped. Not out of anger, not out of strategy. He simply focused back on his purpose. He hit the gym harder, spent more time with his brothers, doubled down on his business, and naturally, he stopped reaching out so much. At first, she was quiet. Then 2 days later, she texted first. A week later, she asked to see him. By the 3rd week, she confessed she missed his energy. Why? Because emotional distance triggered her feelings in a way constant presence never could. This is how attraction works in a woman's psychology. It's not about being cruel or cold, it's about being intentional with your presence. When you pull back in the right way, you let her feel the weight of your absence. It's like music. The space between the notes is what gives the rhythm its emotion. If you played every note back to back, the song would become noise. The same applies to your communication. Too much ruins the rhythm. But when she never knows exactly when she'll hear from you again, her heart listens more carefully. This is also reflected in ancient Greek mythology. Take the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus, a legendary musician, descended into the underworld to retrieve his beloved. He was told, "You may walk her out, but you must not look back until you reach the surface." But his desire to confirm her presence was stronger than his trust in the process. He looked back. She vanished. The lesson? Neediness destroys what silence could have sealed. In modern terms, if you keep checking in just to see if she's still there, you kill the mystery. Let her feel your absence. Let her come toward you, because if she truly values you, she will. Drop a comment below. Have you ever experienced a woman reaching out more after you stepped back? How did it change the dynamic? Chapter 4. How to master the art of less contact without losing her. Now that you understand the psychology and emotional power behind less contact, here's the part most men struggle with: how to apply it without going too far. There's a fine line between being a man of value and being perceived as emotionally unavailable. The key is balance, and that balance comes from mastering your intentional presence. Let's make one thing clear: less contact does not mean no contact. It means contact with purpose, communication with weight, presence with masculine depth. Here's how you master it. 1. Make her earn your presence. Not out of arrogance, but because your time and energy are sacred. When a woman feels that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee, she becomes more careful. She respects your time, she cherishes your attention, and most importantly, she values your silence. But this only works when you genuinely fill your life with meaningful pursuits. Focus on your mission, build your body, your mind, your discipline. Live like your time is your greatest currency, because it is. 2. Don't explain your silence. One of the biggest mistakes men make is over-explaining why they didn't call or text. You don't owe a woman a paragraph every time you take space. If she respects you, she'll feel the energy behind your silence. If she questions it with attitude, it's a test, and the best response is grounded composure. Remember, a man who's always explaining himself loses the frame. 3. Reconnect with strength, not apology. When you do reach out, don't return with weak energy. Don't say, "Sorry, I've been busy." Instead, say, "Been handling things. How have you been?" See the difference? One tone apologizes for being absent. The other reaffirms your strength and focus. She'll feel that. She'll respect that. Because your absence wasn't to disappear, it was to recalibrate. 4. Let her lean in if she reaches out while you've been quiet. Don't rush in with needy energy. Let her effort meet your calm. Ask yourself, is she showing genuine interest? Is she matching your energy? or is she breadcrumbing you for validation? If it's genuine, move forward with presence. If it's surface level, remain still. Silence isn't the absence of love, it's the presence of strength. But now let's draw from ancient wisdom again. In Stoic philosophy, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The more we value things outside of our control, the less control we have." Apply this to attraction. The more you depend on her reactions, the less power you have. But the more you master your own emotional discipline, the more power she feels when she's with you. This is what women deeply desire, even if they can't always express it. A man who doesn't need to chase, a man who is rooted in silence and movement, a man whose presence is earned, not demanded, a man who knows that less contact can build more magnetism because he leads from purpose, not desperation. So don't fear the quiet moments, don't panic when she pulls away, don't fill the space just to feel safe. Instead, stand firm in your masculine frame. Be the man who moves with power, not pressure. Because when you master the art of less, she will feel the depth of your presence more than ever before. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest lesson you've learned about holding back and letting her come to you? Let's build from each other's experiences.